Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to $3 Theater, and we've got some interesting, amazing, awesome Batfleck news to talk about here. But first, I want to quickly point out, back in 2013, when Ben Affleck was first cast as Batman, a lot of people were very trepidatious. They were very unsure about whether or not Ben freaking Affleck could play the Dark Knight, whether or not he could take over the mantle of the Caped Crusader from Christian Bale. But it turns out that yes, he could, and fans were deeply upset when he stepped down a little over a year and a half ago from the role, saying he couldn't crack it. And of course, at the time, there was a lot of speculation about why this happened, about his personal life and his alcoholism and his marriage falling apart, and all of those things a year and a half ago that prompted him to exit the role. But fans of the Snyder Cut, fans of the DCEU, fans of Ben Affleck as Batman, they kept pushing, and they kept pushing. And we've been hearing for a while now through alternate means that Affleck would return and that he could crack it at some point in time. But today, Vanity Fair is reporting that he will return as Batman in The Flash, saying that his Caped Crusader will appear along with Micheal Keaton in the upcoming movie, which explores a multiverse of DC Comics heroes. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I'm not necessarily big on the idea of the multiverse, but with Batfleck coming back into it and their explanation as to why he's going to be involved, I'm definitely more open to the subject. So this is what the article says. Batman Forever strives for a chance to set things right, and that may finally happen with Ben Affleck's vision or version of the crime fighter. The Argo director's brooding Dark Knight is coming back for one more movie, with Affleck agreeing to return as Bruce Wayne in the upcoming big screen version of The Flash, Vanity Fair has learned. Portrayals of Batman always ignite furious debate amongst fans, and Affleck's selection for the part continues to provoke intense discussion. Even years after he first donned the cowl, some love him, some disparage him, and some refuse to see him in the role from the very beginning, while others considered him to be an underrated favorite who deserved more chances to play the role on screen. I would argue the first and the final point are more true than the two middle. At this point, I don't really know anyone that disparages him as Batman, and I don't know anyone who at this point who is a fan of comic book movies has ever actually not chosen to see him in the role. I'm sure they exist, but I also think that they are in fact few and far between. So going on, it says the Flash movie, which is planned for release in summer 2022, will feature fast-moving Barry Allen, played by Ezra Miller, breaking the bonds of physics to crash into various parallel dimensions, where he'll encounter slightly different versions of DC's classic heroes. It's an adaptation of the DC 2011 Flashpoint series, and this will be directed by Andy Muschietti, the filmmaker behind Stephen King's It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. With Muschietti here saying his Batman has a dichotomy that is very strong, which is his masculinity because of the way he looks and the imposing figure that he has and his jawline. But he's also very vulnerable. He knows how to deliver from the inside out, that vulnerability. He just needs a story that allows him to bring out that contrast, that balance. And that's an amazing take in my opinion, because I completely, absolutely agree. Going on, it says, Affleck got the script at the end of last week and agreed to join the project, saying it's a very substantial part of an emotional impact of the movie. The interaction and relationship between Barry and Affleck's Wayne will bring an emotional level that we haven't seen before, the director added. It's Barry's movie, it's Barry's story, but their characters are more related than we think. They both lost their mothers to murder, and that's one of the emotional vessels of the movie. That's where Affleck's Batman kicks in. He goes on to say that I'm glad to be collaborating with someone who has been on both sides of the camera too. He understands. And the reason why this is important is because, yes, both Barry and Bruce have lost their moms. But if you go back to the 2016 SDCC Justice League trailer, we got a bit of that first interaction between Barry and Bruce was kind of almost coming at this from a mentor perspective. And the fact that they're going to be continuing that narrative actually says a lot about how they want to approach the continuity of the DCEU, especially the Snyderverse, and how they want that to be an emotional part of the story moving forward. And if you've actually ever paid attention to a lot of the emotional beats at the core of both Man of Steel and BVS, what we're going to see in Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, or now as it's known, just the Snyder Cut, I think is going to be very interesting and very fascinating to see explore with these stories, with these characters, and thankfully with these actors. And I hope that does lead to more Ben Affleck. So going on to say here, Affleck won't be the only Batman making a comeback. A few more alternate dimension heroes who turn up in the Flash movie will be figures we've seen before, such as Micheal Keaton's Batman from the 1989 Tim Burton film, which Muschietti says was a substantial part. So that hasn't been 100% confirmed by the studio, but at this point, I think we all can agree it's happening. Now, goes on to say, there's another reason the Flash needed characters affectionately known as Batfleck. In the movie's universe, Affleck's gray-templed Bruce Wayne is the one Ezra's Flash would consider the original Batman, the one he's already fought alongside with in the previous Zack Snyder films. Muschietti said it wouldn't work well for him to venture into the company of other Batman without having Affleck as a starting point, saying he's the baseline. He's part of the unaltered state before we jump into Barry's adventure. There's a familiarity there. And I actually really like that. We're going to reestablish again that mentor-mentee relationship, that friend relationship, super friends, if you will. And they're going to be then being the grounding point for not only the audience, but Barry's perspective of Batman and other Batmen. So again, I'm getting more into the concept of this multiverse angle because they are laying the groundwork. That to me shows a lot of respect, and respect that they weren't talking about beforehand. So I'm warming up to the concept. Now, DC has other motivations for exploring the story. Batman is too valuable a character to leave fallow for long, and new actors will forever be stepping into the role by threading the concept of a multiverse into its DC storyline. Warner's is attempting to create a way for all the competing factions of the fandom to coexist together. And that is fascinating in a couple of different ways, in my opinion. I'm still not 100% on board, but I'm warming up to the idea. I don't think you need that massive crossover. I don't necessarily think it's going to work in the way that they want it to. But then again, if the right filmmakers are at the helm, anything, and I mean this, literally anything is humanly possible. But the question becomes, what brought Ben Affleck back to it? What brought Ben Affleck back to this character, back to this role after he said he couldn't crack it? And I think I know. And I want to point out some of these images here that have been coming out since Ben has been dating Ana de Armas during the quarantine. These are just a sampling of a couple of the photos of them together, very happy. Look at the smile on Ben's face. And not only the black and white selfie, but the other photo. This is a man who's found a new lease on life. This is a man who is taking responsibility. I mean, look at the fact that in the photo on the right, he is currently holding a green doggy bag full of dog poop. So it's that's responsibility, Ben. All right. Ben Affleck was the shit in Phantoms, yo. And so I give it that. So then now there becomes one more question. Will Robert Pattinson's Batman show up in this movie as well? And that is something that, well, if they are trying to push this multiverse theory as much as they want, and this being the next big Batman movie on the horizon, is it possible that this is where things are going to go? Well, who knows? DC fandom is literally 2 days away. This news is breaking within 2 days. This news breaks on the same day Zack Snyder releases a teaser for Justice League. And when Ray Fisher comes out talking about the case against Joss Whedon, John Berg, and Jeff Johns. I mean, it's a big thing. A lot's happening in the world of AT&T, HBO Media, or HBO Max, Warner Media, all these things, and where they plan on going to the future. So really, when we think about it, Ben's back, baby. No more sad Affleck meme. No more sad Affleck. Now we've got happy Affleck. We've got happy Affleck listening to a happy tune, being happy to come back to the role. And I do think that this is going to open the door for him to play the Caped Crusader again, for him to get the Batman versus Deathstroke movie, the one that Boss Logic did a poster for, the one that fans have been clamoring for, the one that we know there's a script for and that there's been pre-production work on. I think this is where things are going, and I think this is just a way to ease him back into the role, kind of like Henry Cavill coming back as Superman in a Black Adam cameo to ease back into the role. But I do think it all hinges on the Snyder Cut coming in 2021 to HBO Max. But in the meantime, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions on this. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you excited? Are you not excited? Let me know down in the comments below. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This has been $3 Theater. If you guys liked the video, toss it a like. Please toss it a subscribe. And let's keep the conversation going in the comment section. All right, everyone. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again, and peace out.